wasn't for you. It's a tragedy. I think when I read this case and looked at some of the video, especially of her family talking, I just feel a drop in my heart. This girl was tormented on every level by her husband, who is a psycho. And she wanted out. She wanted out. Let's get into it, because Mica Miller sadly is no longer here, and it's being reported that she took her own life. However, there are different theories about that. And did she really? So, Mica is 30 years old, and her husband John is 44 years old. Mica knew John when she was 14 and he was 28, so John is a pastor at his church called Solid Rock Church. Mica joined this church with her family when she was 14 years old and joined the youth group. And it seemed that John had his eyes set on her from the moment she walked into that church. It's sad and pretty apparent that Micah was groomed by John. But first, before I get into that, one thing to know is that John was indeed married at this time that Micah and her family joined the church. So John had a best friend named Jeremy, who was also younger than John. It seemed that John wanted to find a way to get as close as possible to Mica without raising obvious suspicion about his relationship with her. What did John do to get closer to Mica? He was involved in every aspect of her life, from who she married and where she worked. So he hired her as his babysitter for his 4 kids, because he had 4 kids with his first wife. He also hired her as his assistant or secretary, and he would always invite her out to lunch. She became like the go-to-lunch buddy for John. And he also set her up with his best friend, Jeremy. He was actually the officiant at their wedding, and it's being reported that John was cheating on his wife with Micah when she would come over and babysit the kids. Allison, who is John's wife, filed for divorce after finding out not only about his infidelity, but a lot of other darker stuff that was going on with John. In Allison's affidavit, she said that John had actually confessed to her and the church staff that he had inappropriate encounters with girls under the age of 16 at the church. Allison said, "Our marriage and my husband's career were less than stable at the time, because at the time my husband's affair was discovered. He had previously admitted to both me and our congregation that he also had an addiction to prostitution." So instead of removing John as a leader at the church, apparently church officials told the pastor to get counseling for his addiction, and John refused to get counseling, which caused many church members to leave. And she said that his marital misconduct not only destroyed her marriage, but also caused her to lose her church, her family, and income, along with severely damaging the relationship between her and John and the children. So John, just from this alone, it's clear that So in 1998, he was charged for assault and battery of a high aggravated nature. He was given 500 hours of community service and put on probation for several years. In 2000, in Illinois, he pleaded guilty to aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. And in 2004, he was charged with domestic battery, but the prosecutors did not move forward with the case. The family did mention, though, that it didn't seem that John had any physical contact with Micah until after she was married to his best friend. Okay, so let's get into Micah because we don't know everything that happened in their relationship. We don't know the different arguments or situations that happened, but Micah did let us in on just how bad it was. So on March 22, she posted on Facebook, "You don't have to stay in an abusive relationship." Whether that's somebody forcing you to take illegal drugs or alcohol abuse, physical abuse, psychological abuse, making you think that this is all your fault or that you are a bad mom or a bad husband if you're not giving it your all when you know you are. God hates divorce, but why? According to everybody that I've asked and the scriptures I've seen, it's because it hurts people. But does abuse hurt people? How do you think God feels about that? On April 9th, she posted a selfie with the caption, and she was smiling in the selfie. She said, "When terrible, terrible things happen to you." Y'all know what I'm talking about. Rest in peace face, hashtag still blessed, hashtag God is good. She posted a video talking about leaving abusive situations, saying, "You are the bride of Christ. He took all that abuse for you so you don't have to live that life of slavery, bondage, and pain." Micah left John's church. John was accused of repeatedly cheating on Micah as their relationship broke down. John was actively pursuing at least one other woman while he was still legally married, and even after her death, if I'm correct. I'll get into it, but apparently he sent some message about her not being alive, but it seemed very casual, very cold, very casual. So he was talking to a waitress, and she explained that she had engaged with John in communication over text in a bid to expose his behavior after becoming suspicious that he might have been married. This is what she said. She revealed the flirty text messages between the two, and like I said, he even appeared to make light of his wife unaliving herself. Police reports show that on March 11th, Micah Miller's tires were slashed when she was at the Spring Maid Pier around 1:30 a.m. I saw the video of this. Apparently, John would put trackers on her car to see where she was going at all times, and out of nowhere, this guy shows up, and she's telling him, walk away, you know? And he's walking, and then he's threatening to post pictures on Facebook, and she's like, "If you post that, you're going to jail. I'm telling the police." And he was like, "I'm gonna post it," and like walking away. So was aware of the pain that he inflicted. Like he said, he would do horrible things to her and then apologize, but then do it again. I mean, a loose cannon, this guy. Another email from John showed that he confessed to posting a topless photo of Micah on social media. He said, "I'm sorry for putting a picture of you on the internet. It was for less than 1 hour and immediately taken down. I was heard that you are telling everyone horrible, intimate details of my past sin, and I just wanted to try and hurt you. Please forgive me. It was evil of me to do that." Hearing him literally say, "I was heard that you are telling everyone horrible, intimate details of my past sin," I'm really at a loss of words. This just speaks for itself. The little bit of the mental torture she went through with this crazy guy. Micah sent an affidavit to her attorney saying that she had been abused in every way she could think of since marrying John Paul Miller. Emotionally, spiritually, financially, he has harassed me physically and electronically with letters, phone calls, emails, and texts, hacking my emails, hacking my personal Facebook, and impersonating me. Micah's sister, whose name is Sierra, said that Micah stated on many occasions to her, specifically saying, "If I end up with a bullet in my head, it was him." Sierra said that Micah was afraid that she would be unalived and not make it to the end of her divorce. Around 12 days before her death, Micah had filed for separation from John, but the divorce petition was withdrawn, and I'm guessing something scared her to withdraw it. A few days later, John filed for separate support and maintenance financial support because the couple was still legally married, so it seemed that his immaturity was in the fact that she was the one that filed first. Like, he wanted to be able to file something first. This is what it's sounding like to me. After Micah filed for separate support and maintenance support as well, and she also requested a no contact order, but she still fully wanted to go ahead with the divorce. Before her death, literally days before, she told her dad that she really believed she needed a weapon for protection. On April 27th, on the day that she died, Micah was seen leaving her apartment, going to the store, purchasing a gun, driving across the state border. And she went to a park called Lumber River State Park. And when she was at the park, it was really hard to hear this. She called 911, and when the operator asked her what the problem was, she first asked, "Are you able to trace my location?" From my phone, the operator said, "Give me a second. Just, let me know what's going on, She wanted to know why Micah was saying this, and Micah said, "I am about to unalive myself, and I just want my family to know where to find me, okay?" And the operator paused because can you imagine the shock of hearing somebody say this? And I think she tried to delay whatever was going to happen and was like, okay, just stay on the phone. Let me see if I can find your location, trying to stall to get the police there before Micah could do anything, but it was too late. It seemed that she shot herself. This is the story that was put out there. However, according to Micah's family and her father, they think something more sinister was going on. Micah's dad and family heard the 911 call that was placed by Micah, and they have a theory. And I mean, they're struggling really to understand what happened to her because Micah repeatedly expressed fear that she was going to be unalived, that she needed to protect herself from John. Not once did she ever give an inclination that she wanted to just end her life and end it all. So the family has a theory. First of all, with the 911 call, she didn't sound like herself. She's normally very animated. And sure, you can say, well, in a time when someone's about to do something like this to themselves, they may not sound like themselves. But to them, she sounded strangely slow. Too slow. Her father said that it sounded very metered and was wondering if it could have been some kind of an AI. Maybe somebody recorded her voice or did something and, I don't know, placed that phone call with her sounding like that to really stage it as if she did unalive herself. The other thing was the medical examiner did not do a complete toxicology screening. He just tested for blood alcohol levels, and they did not do a complete autopsy, which is very strange because John rushed to have Micah cremated, rushed to have it cremated. So what was he hiding? Well, the family visited her body and they saw bruises and scratches on her hands and arms, almost as if they were self-defense wounds. They said that it seemed that somebody had taken their nails or were trying to grab her or something. Like there were lines of a nail scratch, on her hands, and that where she was in that park, there were no trees directly around. Like it wasn't a tight area with a lot of trees close together to scratch her like that. It really seemed like somebody's nails had been with pressure dug into her skin and scratched. And the family asked the medical examiner if there were blood in the scratches, when they got her body, and they couldn't give an answer, which is strange. The park ranger took Micah's family to the location where she last was, and apparently there were multiple shell casings, and it didn't make sense to her dad because Micah knew how to use that weapon. She took classes, and when they brought this up to law enforcement that there were multiple shell casings from that gun and asked more information on the investigation, the police force, the law enforcement people, they had no answers. They didn't even try to come up with an answer. They just said, basically it is what it is. And the coroner said that the bruises on her hands and arms may have just been from when they pulled her out of the river. Who's pulling out a body like that and scratching their hands like that, right? I mean, I don't know, but typically wouldn't they pull them from under the arms or something to not do any damage of this nature? There's a careful way to remove a body, right? There was a fisherman not far away who heard Micah crying before hearing the gunshot. Micah's family also made a point to say that it was very strange that she would choose this park to go she's never been to that park. The family has never been there. It just wasn't a place for them that they knew about. And where Micah was, it wasn't a location that just anybody would know of. It was really off of the beaten path that only the park ranger would know about. Their theory is that John has something to do with this, and that he either did it himself or had somebody set it up in a way that made it seem that Micah took her own life, forced her to drive to that park, and maybe even purchased a gun. We don't know. These are theories, and they may seem a bit out there to some people, but this is her family, and they knew that she was struggling and going through things, and that she was done, she was ready to divorce, and for her to be like, I don't know if I'm going to make it to the end of the divorce, I need to protect myself, doesn't sound like someone who would just unalive themselves. So I understand the family coming up with their own theories because no one else is giving them any answers. She was cremated before having a proper full autopsy. It's really sad. During a sermon, John, this pathetic man, he gave a sermon because he held a memorial service on the same day her family held a memorial service at a separate church. Talk about the narcissism. He told the mourners or the people at the church that he said, I got a call. He said, I got a call late last night that my wife passed away. It was self-induced and up in North Carolina. Y'all pray for me and my kids and everybody. You all knew that she wasn't mentally well and needed her medicine. That was hard to get to her. I'm sure there will be more details to come, but keep her family in your prayers. That doesn't sound normal. Not from a grieving husband. Why is the first thing you go to, you know she needed her medicine? Like, who says that? And keep her family in your prayers. Aren't you her family? Aren't you her husband? Not keep us in your prayers. I feel right there. Come on. I can't wait. I hope that there's more that comes out about this case. I hope that there's something that we don't know about his involvement in her actual death that we don't know. Because the way he's talking about it, oh my goodness. Okay, he also mentioned that he so badly wanted her to be alive that he visited her body in the morgue 4 times in the week since she died, and once he tried to resurrect her. Why do you believe that you have the power to resurrect somebody? Narcissist. I mean, I feel he's more than a narcissist. He tried to resurrect her. Okay. Why? So you could just abuse her more? Why? Come on. John, during the memorial service, it was so awkward when I saw the video. He was like doing this fake sounding cry, and they had the picture of her up on the screen, and there was a picture of her in a bikini on the beach, and he was saying something about, I don't know, their day at the beach, and then he did this other fake crying sound, and it was like, next picture, and then talked about that picture, next picture, like it was awkward, and it didn't look sincere where this really goes. I mean, justice for Micah. It's airy. Thank you guys so